make this rather snappy, won't you? I have some very heavy thinking to do before 10 o'clock.
Good evening, world. Welcome into Greenie Sports Cards Live. If you're with us, as we are every Tuesday, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, we thank you for joining us this week and every week, as many of you have done since late January when we started this enterprise. And it has become, and since it started, the world's first multi-stream broadcast for the hobby industry, where we bring you interesting guests and content and people and interviews. And this week is no different. We've got some really cool content for you tonight, this evening. We're going to be joined by our resident expert, Adam Byers, with the Greenie team to talk about some new product releases and new product out there and some things that he's seen of interest out in the market. And then a little bit after that, we've got a very exciting announcement for Greenie Sports Cards and what's going on these days in the card space. So we're very excited to roll that out officially tonight. And that will segue into our special guest tonight, Maddie Vejsicky, or Maddie Vejsicky, I should say, who is a guard on the Akron women's basketball team and has had quite a journey to get there, native of Ohio, Southern Ohio. And we'll get to talk to Maddie and about her journey and her time playing basketball, high school basketball in Ohio, and back at Akron now as they start off the season. So Adam Byers, Maddie Vejsicky, and Greenie, of course, will join us this evening right about now. So let's go ahead and say hello to the man himself, Steve Greenberg. Greenie, how you doing?
I'm good, Jeremy. Good. Long day today. Adam and I made a trip, not going to say up because it's down, to Pittsburgh, and picked up a big collection of cards today. And as we always do, we said we're always buying and selling, and that call. We met somebody a few months ago, and today was the day we were able to go and purchase their collection. So we enjoyed that. Hockey's not our main thing, but as of today, it will be, because we purchased a lot of hockey cards today. So
very, very cool. So that's how this whole thing started for you. Always buying, always selling, and what a cool thing. I've told a lot of people this. I think one of your amazing strengths, among many, is the ability to assess things pretty quickly and find value in collections. And you've seen your fair share of attics and basements and storage units and carloads full of stuff. But you and your team, and Adam in particular, have a really, really good eye for finding value and providing a fair price to those that are willing to sell their collections. But you're able to really know what's in there pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it's like any job. If you work at it and you learn it, you know what you're doing. It's in marketing or in selling widgets, whatever it is. And we've become pretty good, and we've become pretty knowledgeable over the last 20 years. So we make it easy. We will assess that what we can see and the value that we can find for it, and we make an offer that we feel that we can pay, and more times than not, the collections get purchased.
And so shameless plug, if somebody is interested in moving their collection, they get a hold of you guys.
We're here, greeniesportscards.com. That's the easiest way. We have a contact us button on there. We can add the phone numbers and email addresses, but if you just go to the website, there's a huge contact me button right on there.
Very, very cool. So little drive today, little heavy lifting to move a collection back to Cleveland. And we'll go ahead and welcome Adam in here too as well, because he's been a big part of your team, the Greenie team, for years. And really, Adam does a lot of the heavy lifting, literally and figuratively. And
No question.
as I said earlier, our resident expert with the Greenie team, Adam, what do you see when you first assess a collection, or you walk into somebody's room or basement? What are you looking for that jumps out for you for value?
Shiny stuff. We like to lift the boxes, lift the lids, and kind of our forte is that 90s stuff. So we like seeing that 90s shiny stuff. But even the new shiny stuff, that carries good value. And everybody wants the new stuff. There's not as many people that like the 90s stuff like we do. But I know the new stuff. I try to stay up on it as best I can, which is what, we'll talk about here in a minute. But, the shiny stuff and rookie cards and quarterbacks, that's what you're always looking for. Or the Aaron Judges, Shohei Ohtani's, those kind of guys. We in Cleveland, we like to look for Jose Ramirez, but, I think he got slided out of being in the top 3 for MVP voting, but that's discussion for another day.
And you guys, though, you'll really take a look at anything. It's not limited to baseball cards. You've looked at Hot Wheels, you've looked at Olympic torches, you've looked at comic books, records. So really it's about, I think, providing that fair value for somebody that does want to sell off their collection, but then knowing that there's some room to continue to run the business as well.
I think the biggest thing for us is we're always upfront and honest. I mean, no matter what, we say, that this is where we're got to be at on it. This is what we think it'll sell for. We're taking the risk and the gamble of buying it at this price to hope that it sells at that price. And, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Most of the times it does, but a lot of it depends on what we have too. Like we don't have a lot of vinyl, so we bought a vinyl collection, and, our MC John took care of that for us. Mike's been working hard on some vintage collections that we just picked up, and which isn't really my forte, but it's all encompassing here at Greenie Sports Cards, that's for sure.
Greenie, I'll turn it over to you guys because there's some new products coming out and new items. So have at it.
Yeah, Adam plugs that pretty well. He's pretty in tune of what new products are coming out. So what did come out recently?
Topps Chrome update just dropped this week, I believe. It's a huge set. Like I'm flipping through the inserts, and the insert set on this is just insane. There's the staples of the 35-year anniversary, so it would be 1989 Topps Chrome, and then there's the staple, the All-Star Chrome. But now there's Youthquake, which is only in the breaker boxes, and it's one. Each breaker box has one pack in it, and you'll get one Youthquake in it, and then there's various numbered parallels for that. Then there's the Celebration checklist, which is super hard to get. They're only 1 out of 3,468 hobby packs and 1 out of 943 jumbo packs. So those are pretty tough pulls, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different parallels for that, from gold refractor all the way up to super fractor. Then one of my favorites is the Chrome All Etch checklist, which is kind of a throwback back to our late 90s inserts, They're super colorful. They're super shiny. And I like that in the new stuff, back in the 90s, they were, they were base and then refractors. And now they're just all refractors, which is the way it should be for an insert, in my professional opinion. Then there's all edge rookies. There's the Crush checklist, which is a short print. That's only 1 out of 1,002 hobby packs, and 1 out of 481 jumbos, and 1 out of 100 or 1 out of 32 breaker boxes. Diamond Dominance checklist. There's 25 cards, and they're only 1 in every 400 mega packs. The Future Stars is always a staple. Another new one is the Helix checklist. It was in regular Topps Chrome, but it's 1 out of 4,585 hobbies, or 2,299 jumbos, or 159 breaker packs. And that's going to feature guys like Skeens, Judge, Langford, Holiday, Churio, Acuna, Tatis, Rodriguez, and Bobby Witt Jr. And finally, what we've all kind of, at least I've been waiting for, is they're finally making the home field advantage into a Chrome. So it'll be a refractor, just like the downtowns from Don Russ and Optic. They've been making the foil ones for the last couple years, but now they're finally putting them in Chrome. There's a 40 card checklist for that. Yeah, that's a good picture of them. But now they're going to be Chrome refractors, which is awesome. There's only two parallels, just the base, and then a super refractor. And like I said, it's 812 hobbies, 288 jumbos, 32 breakers, and then the super refractors are going to be insane to hit. Like, just for example, super refractors are 166,455 hobby packs. So, and on down the line. Then there's Let's Go Chrome, which is going to be super hard to get. Just for example, 1 out of 9,170 hobby packs. And that's got Skeens, Churio, Yamamoto, Holiday, Henderson, Guerrero, on down the line. And one that I'm not a big fan of, but it looks like they're going to put it in, is Major League Minis checklist. I'm not sure what these look like yet, but they're going to be super tough pulls. 1 out of 2,448. And then MLB illustration checklist. These are crazy hard to get. 16,906. 1 out of every 16,000, almost 17,000 packs, hobby packs. Then there's a Sizzle checklist, Stratospheric Stars checklist, Expose checklist, Radiating Rookies. I mean, so it's a crazy cool product. It's always fun. We don't rip a whole lot of Greenie sports cards, but I tend to, and Topps Chrome is always one of my go-tos. You'll see me digging in boxes, finding those inserts and stuff. On the football side, speaking of downtowns, Donruss football is set to come out. Can't find when it's going to be out, but it's already up on the Panini website to explore and see what's in it. Doesn't look like anything's crazy, but they do have the downtowns in it again this year. The Crunch Time, which I know were tough pulls, and the Gridiron Kings autograph set, which actually is going to feature Myles Garrett this year. He's finally got autographs and products. So,
So
I saw
Adam,
go ahead.
No, if you had more on that, one of the things that products is Myles Garrett never having a certified autograph before. So him coming out, well, he had one, like he had a All-American one, but there hasn't been a Cleveland Browns certified autograph of Myles Garrett till this year. So that's a real big deal.
Yeah. It looks like it's sticker autos, so hopefully there's some on-card autos to come with it, but we'll see. But, I mean, just to have him in Cleveland,
That's right.
Going to be one of the greatest players we've ever watched. Too bad the rest of the team stinks, but again, discussion for another day.
That's right. One of the things that we'll probably touch on a little bit with Maddie later. So WNBA cards just came out. Select, which we had a little bit of, and obviously Caitlin Clark drives a lot of that, but there's a lot of great players and there's Sue Bird cards in there and Lisa Leslie cards in there, but all the rookies, Angel Reese, Cameron Brink, Kate Martin. So, a very fun product. We actually opened a few. I've actually bought some stuff online, so that we can have in our showcases. But what a cool product! And I know Prism's coming out, Origins came out, but WNBA cards are getting really popular as of late.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously Caitlin Clark drives it, but the supporting cast in the WNBA is getting extraordinarily good. I've heard it compared to the early 80s of Bird Magic, you know what I mean, where those two guys were driving it, but you still had Dr. J, you still had Kareem, and then into the mid 80s when Jordan and all those guys, it was like the perfect culmination of growing that sport. And I think we're kind of seeing it now in the WNBA.
And their cards are popular. And, yeah.
Super popular.
So, but before we let you go, why don't you just tell us real quick what we have going on tomorrow?
Tomorrow we got our little show at Glen Eagles Golf Course, 25 tables. We had probably 75 to 100 people through it door last week. Then Saturday we got Kirtland, our sold out show always is. And I think you and me are going to Columbus for a show this week.
That's right. Yep. Jeffersonville Outlets. So there's a show. Brent Shannon's putting on Shannon Sports Cards, and we like to support some of the other shows, and we try to hit up as many different ones as we can when we can. And Cooper's holding the hose at Kirtland this weekend, so he'll be there, and Jacob will be there while we take a little journey down south.
Absolutely.
All right, Adam, thank you for joining us this evening and always for your expertise. That's way more over my head in the card space. It's hard to keep track of. So
hey, it's nice to know I'm an expert
in
something.
Yeah.
So
see you tomorrow.
Thanks, John.
All right. Our thanks to Adam Byers for joining us this evening. And if you're watching, feel free to comment on any of the platforms that you're checking in on, just like Thomas did. You'll be able to we can see you on any one of the platforms, whether you're on LinkedIn or YouTube or Instagram. We're back on Twitter on the X. Make sure you check in, ask questions, and be part of the show. Greenie, we doing an auction tonight with Alex?
We are 9:00.
So that's interactive as well. You can pop in over on eBay. All auctions start at $2. Combined shipping unlocks once you buy your first auction, and they have a lot of fun over there as part of the live auction component of what we do every Tuesday night, starting at 7 with the auction at 9, and then Alex is back at 9 on Thursday as well. So you can catch that on eBay Live. But meantime, Greenie, we've got a really, really cool announcement to share. We want to go ahead and do that now because it's a good segue to our second guest this evening.
So we touched on this last week, but it's finally up. We have an additional website, greeniecards.com, which you've put together really well. And we started it off with our NIL cards. And Maddie, who will join us in a minute, is one of the student athletes that has an NIL card with us. And I believe we're a little bit over 20 right now and in growing with a couple different schools. So it's an opportunity that is pretty near and dear to us. We started this out a couple years ago, and it works. And how it works is it does help these student athletes by working together with us and making some money using their name, image, and likeness. And that's what's been happening in college over the last couple of years, and we've seen that. And we'll talk to Maddie about that. But we were able to provide this service to some people right now, and as many as would like to take advantage of it. But making trading cards and having signatures tied to those trading cards so that there's an actual little connection between the fans and the student athletes. And it is live. It is launched yesterday, as a matter of fact. So greeniecards.com is up and running, and you can go on, you can search by different categories. And, we do have, the cards that we made for the Medina County Collectors Fair, and we'll start adding some other, traditional sports cards up there as well. But right now, the NIL cards are what's driving this site.
Yeah, very cool. So multiple collections on here that'll be growing by the day. You've got your professional sports collection, your collegiate collection, and pop culture, of course. And then this is the really exciting rollout of that with the NIL cards, and really the first of its kind as well. Greenie's known for hitting a number of benchmarks, being the first to market in a number of these areas, but being able to provide that platform for these students, as we found, the top of the food chain, if you will, doesn't need a lot of help. The football players at Ohio State and Alabama and LSU's of the world are going to eat. Even some of the men's basketball players, but there's a lot of room for student athletes to grow in the NIL space and take advantage of their standing and their success. And along with that is learning some of the skill sets that you go to school for in the first place. And whether that's public relations or marketing or sales, it's really cool to be a part of that and see the opportunity for these young athletes and students to be a part of that. And our guest tonight, our special guest, has her card up here as well. So very, very cool stuff that's going on. So we do want to go ahead and welcome in Maddie. Maddie Vejsicky is, as I mentioned earlier, is a native of Southern Ohio. Attended Newark High School, originally from New Concord, Ohio. Had a really, really stellar high school career. She was a 3-year letter winner, first team all conference, and MVP at the Title IX tournament. Made all-state division, third team for her high school career, and led her team to a state final 4 championship games. So very, very cool. And we'll talk about her journey from starting off at, I believe it was
Virginia Tech.
Yeah, Virginia Tech, and then over to San Diego, and then landing back at home in Akron. So let's go ahead and welcome Maddie in this evening.
Hi
Hey,
guys,
Maddie, how are you?
thanks for having me. Good.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. And yeah, like Jeremy said, you started off in high school, with a pretty stellar career and made it to a state championship game, which not everybody gets to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was definitely a really cool experience.
I think it was double overtime, if I read it correctly.
Was,
yeah. But hey, so you can't win every game, but to get a school like that to a state championship team is really no small feat. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So you were on the radar, obviously at that point, for a number of schools, and made the decision for your freshman year to attend Virginia Tech. You played in 6 games, I believe, that year. And then let's talk about that a little bit before we transition to your sophomore year. What was the decision to go to Virginia Tech initially? What appealed to you about that school?
I mean, it was kind of like a dream school to play at that level. But when I started talking to the coaches, it just kind of clicked. I felt like my style was going to be the best for that school. Obviously, didn't end up working out like that, but it was really just when I got on campus, it just kind of felt like the right fit.
Being at a school like that, and even, you didn't play in many games, but to practice against that competition coming from high school in New Concord and then, or Newark, but living in New Concord, but to play against that competition, practicing every day against those girls, I mean, that had to at least help your game at some point.
Oh, 100%. I'll forever be grateful for just being able to practice against them. Whether or not they worked out that I ended up leaving there, being able to practice and compete against them definitely helped my game to where I'm at now.
So it's a new world for student athletes these days with the transfer portal opportunities and, of course, NIL. You made the decision to leave after your freshman year and go over to San Diego. Talk us through that process a little bit, because lots of young athletes at 18, 19, 20 years old are faced with these decisions on whether to stay, whether to go, what may be most advantageous for them. So you made the decision to transfer literally across the country. What was your mindset at that point?
I mean, the bottom line was I just wasn't happy. I feel like I like to prioritize the mental health of it, and I just was not in a good place where I was at. So it did end up being across the country where I went. But really, it was just, at the end of the day, come down to if I was happy or not where I was at.
I think one of the questions with that is the transfer portal is something new that people, are trying to learn and navigate. You've done it twice, so you have a little bit of history of navigating that portal. But for somebody that's new or hasn't done it, like what's it like being in the transfer portal? Is it like, for lack of a better term, a feeding frenzy? Like, is your phone just constantly going off once you get into that portal?
Yeah, I mean, you have like a couple options when you're signing up to go into the portal, and a couple of them you can either give like your phone number, email, or even have somebody else receive all the calls. For me, I just put in my own phone number, but as soon as you get like sent through and like enter the portal, they can contact you at any time, so it really just can start blowing up.
Is it almost like basically when you're a senior or junior in high school, the recruiting process? So it's basically the recruiting process all over again, right?
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's just as you get closer to the point, like the cutoff point of when coaches can call you. So basically, it's just everyone calling you at one time. So
ultimately, you've landed here at Akron, and Coach Gensler, who I think you said you knew Coach a little bit before, and that's probably one of the reasons why you decided.
Yeah, I've known him for a while. He recruited me all through high school, and he recruited me every single time that I was in the portal coming out of high school, and it just kind of came full circle. Obviously, he was at some different schools as well, so just to have him back here, and I was like, I think it's time to come back home, so it just kind of all worked out.
So after appearing in roughly 24 games for San Diego, you've come back now and are starting for Akron, the Zips. There's been a number of transfers as a part of Gensler's first year. He had a lot of athletes decide to leave. Not necessarily his recruits. He took over a team last year, and there were a few departures. But looking at Lene Riley, who came from Middle Tennessee State, Caroline Lyles came from Tulsa. I think Ella came from Liberty. There's a handful of others, transfers from Illinois, Cameron Rhodes. So you've got a group that is coming from kind of all points in between. Something drew each of you to Coach Gensler and the program. What has that transition been like for all of you to try and gel and become familiar with each other's games right as the season's kicking off here?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, just comes down to practice and just kind of feeling everything out. Like the scrimmages helped, like Puerto Rico helped, like just getting that opportunity to kind of get to know everybody and kind of what their playing styles are, because we all came from such different places. But yeah, I mean, it honestly just takes time, but I think it's been pretty smooth for us.
What's a day like playing for Coach Gensler? Like what's a typical day, as a student athlete at Akron? Like take us through, so you have a game tomorrow. What was today like?
Today, I mean, it was basically just a bunch of review at practice. I mean, he gets pretty intense the day before a game, though, if we're, we got to have everything locked down. But, I mean, it's just really just review and then getting ready for the game.
So tomorrow you'll wake up. What's a day like for a student athlete on game day? You play a home game against Robert Morris tomorrow night.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it depends on the time of the game. But for me, it's just we got to shoot around like after like lunchtime-ish. So just get up, get some breakfast, head to the gym, get some rehab in, and then just start prepping for the game.
Go ahead, Greenie.
So you've started out pretty hot. You're 6 of 8 from 3-point range. In high school, I think I read you hold the all-time record of shooting, 3-point record at your high school. Is that one of the things that you do on the floor that when your offense is gelling, they're looking for you, and 3-point is that a big thing at Akron, is the 3-point shot?
I would say so. I think we're shooting a pretty high percentage of that right now. So I would say that obviously when you're hot, you're hot. So when we are gelling like that, then I would say that's what we're looking for. But at the end of the night, it's just got to score the basketball.
And you've been doing that thus far through two games, putting up 14 points average, 3 rebounds per game. How good can this team be this year? Again, you got a number of new faces, transfers. You're figuring out how to play together. What are some of the goals you've set collectively, and how good can you be to reach them?
I mean, obviously everyone's goal is championships. Like at the end of the day, that's all it is. I think we have a really good chance of doing that. I mean, back to what I said earlier, of just kind of taking time and getting to know each other because we're all so new. Just kind of leaning on the people that have been here last year that stayed, and just kind of they just have been very helpful with helping us mesh well with the system. So just kind of trusting in the system, and I think we can be really good.
The MAC is a really tough conference to play in. I mean, there's Kent State and there's Ball State and even some out of conference games. But I know, and Coach Hensler's not going to want you to look ahead, but I saw in December you play a team, Michigan. What's it going to be like going up against a school like that?
Yeah, I mean, I always say at the end of the day it's just basketball. But the reality is they are typically a little more bigger, a little faster. I'm super excited to play that team just because it was kind of at the level that I started at. And it's just honestly a really cool experience. But yeah, I'm just really excited for that.
Maddie, you mentioned
Akron beat Pitt last year, so Akron is able to win these games. So we'll be looking forward to that as well.
Maddie, you mentioned mental health a little bit earlier, and that was part of your decision to go out west and then come back this way towards home. What have you learned about yourself, and what can you share with other student athletes that might be dealing with some of the same struggles on either going away from home or the intensity of the schedule? What have you learned about yourself that you could share thus far?
A lot. Definitely learned you can't run away from your problems. You just got to face them head on. Still something that, takes practice every day. But utilizing, the therapists you have on campus, that's one reason I came here, just to have more access to that. But really just to face things head on and not try to run away from it, and know that at the end of the day, it is basketball, but how you're doing mentally is more important than how you're playing on the court.
Yeah, that's no question.
Good life advice for anybody, actually, not just student athletes.
That's good. Right. Yeah, it's terrific. About a month ago, we had a gentleman on, Paul Landis, who spoke about mental health and just a backstory. He was a Secret Service agent for President Kennedy and his wife, who was shot and killed in the 60s. And it took him 50 years to talk about it. And, not that this is the same thing, but that's one of the things with the mental health, is being able to talk and open up. And I'm sure you have some things like that. Is that something that your teammates do? Is that something that's preached or practiced, that, to speak up and talk and ask questions?
I mean, I think it's a big thing that Coach Gensler kind of brought up, especially towards me for coming here, but he also mentions it a lot. Just kind of making sure that we talk to somebody, either come see him or the therapist that we have. But I think a lot of people on the team utilize what we have here.
you've seen a couple different team dynamics at this point, again, through Virginia Tech and San Diego and now at Akron. What do you think are some of the building blocks of a successful team, and parlaying that from your high school experience where you did reach the state championship? What are the elements that you've seen that really comprise the makeup of a really good team?
Yeah. I mean, obviously at Virginia Tech, we were very successful there. Obviously I didn't play very much, but I got to witness basically just kind of the buildup of all of that. And it really just comes down to like how badly like the team wants to win for each other and not just themselves, like how badly they want to do it for each other, and not just worried about like the self goals and all of that. And then just like how hard that you want to work like outside of like practice and all that just for each other. I think that's just the main thing.
So moving in a little bit of different direction, name, image, and likeness. That is a major thing in collegiate athletics, whether you're, the quarterback of the football team or you play lacrosse or run track. I know that you have some merchandise out there, but is that something that a lot of student athletes look for, is name, image, and likeness in ways that you can, finally you're allowed to make money that, using those different things?
I mean, 100%. I mean, it's just some extra money in the bank at the end of the day. But it's also cool just to see like your face on a t-shirt or like a card, like what you guys have done, or just the name on the back of a t-shirt or something like that. It's kind of just, for me, it's just cool just to see all that like growing up and then just seeing it put out there like that.
I mean, there was never a chance, like, when we were growing up, like any athletes, collegiate athletes, weren't allowed to have jobs or weren't allowed to make money. So it's very different. Let me ask you, was that something in the transfer portal? Did people offer money? Are you even allowed to discuss that?
I do know of it happening. It did not happen to me. But yeah, I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff that goes on with that, though, that I do not know about.
Yeah, well, probably better off not knowing.
Exactly.
So the trading cards, there's a couple student athletes at Akron. There's some other student athletes that are going to be doing that. When you were a kid, did you ever open packs of cards?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you'll be able to see yourself on a card. I mean, what's that?
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, I don't know. That's all I got to say about it. This is just crazy.
Yeah, no, that's. Do you follow professional sports at all in different, trading cards, like any baseball, football, basketball?
Yeah. So my grandpa, he gave me actually a big collection of sports cards that he had from, I don't even know how long he collected them for. So I have like all different sports of like binders that are like super thick, just of all sports. So
nice. Growing up, did you follow any teams at all?
Like professional?
Sure. Or college, either one.
College? I mean, obviously Ohio State for college was a big thing in my family. Then I was forced.
Players?
I'm trying to think. I just know that growing up as Ohio State, and my grandpa forced me to like the Cleveland Browns, and there was no going around that.
Yeah, ours too, and I mean the Cleveland Browns are what they are, but yeah,
yes,
we like them anyway.
So Maddie, you've got in addition to yourself, we have a couple other teammates that are up now at this point, including Ella Weigel, Caroline Lyles, and Lene Riley. We'll ask them the same questions if and when they come on. Your card is available, of course, at greeniecards.com. Let's sell some cards for your teammates too. Let's give people at least one nice thing about your teammates and why they should go out and buy their cards. Let's start with Caroline.
Caroline, one of the nicest people you'll meet. She's gonna be a lockdown shooter for sure. I mean, if you know Caroline, like everyone loves Caroline. So, I mean, there's nothing bad to say about that. She's gonna be solid.
How about Lene Riley?
You know that she's gonna be tough for us in the post. She also a big shooter for us. So different options for her as well.
And then currently we've got Ella Weigel, I believe, is in her first year at Akron after transferring from Liberty.
Mm-hmm. She's a sneaky rebounder for sure, but she's also going to be a really good shooter for us as well.
See, there was a card next to Ella who's not an NIL card, but somebody that played at Akron last year, Enrique Freeman, who's now in the NBA. So people from Akron can make it at the next level, no matter what sport. I'm sure Enrique's name has to come up somewhere around that school playing for the Indiana Pacers. Has he been back? Have you had a chance to meet him at all?
I have not had a chance to meet him, but I have seen him walking around here. But that's the closest I've got.
Yeah, he had a pretty good career at Akron and was drafted into the NBA. So, I mean that can happen. If you're a good player, you're a good player. It doesn't matter where you're at. Scouts will find you. And I know being at Virginia Tech, you probably saw some scouts there scouting some of the players.
Yeah, that was definitely cool to see.
Is that everybody's dream, the WNBA?
I mean, I would like to think so. I mean, it was always mine. It is very hard with the limited amount of teams that are there to like be able to actually pursue that. But I mean, I feel like at the end of the day, it's like always just a big goal for anybody in basketball.
Did you watch any of the games last year? Like, does everybody pay attention to the Angel Reeses and the Kate Martins and the Caitlin Clarks?
Oh yeah, always keeping up on that.
Yeah. Have you played against anybody that's in the WNBA?
I mean, I didn't have the chance to play against necessarily, but I did. I got to watch Caitlin Clark courtside. She was the game after us at the Final Four, so we got to sit and watch that, which was really cool. And then obviously I had two teammates, and obviously Elizabeth Kitley, she got drafted. So, I mean, I had more teammates in there than what I played against, but I mean, in practice, I went against them, so I guess we could say that.
Still, yeah.
Yeah.
So there are some big names, and obviously Caitlin Clark being one of them. We did touch on the mental aspect of that. When you step on the court, you know, Caitlin's not that much older than you at this point. I think a year or two ahead, and or whether it's Angel Reese or any of these other players, are you able to kind of turn that off? And you're just playing against another basketball player, and you've got confidence in your game.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously been a growing point for me, I think. This year, that's kind of been something Coach Gensler and I have prioritized with myself. It's kind of just when you step on the court, like everything else is not important at the moment. But I think that I'm getting better at that, and so I think I'm just excited to play.
And tomorrow night's another game. 1-1 going against Robert Morris. What are you guys like when you focus and you play one game at a time? Like that's how you prepare, right? You don't look forward to who you play on Saturday, right? So Robert Morris, have you guys scouted them at all? They're also coming in at 1-1. I believe there's a girl on that team that you'll probably match up against. She's from Israel. She scored 17 points in the last game. Is that something that you guys have scouted and watched film on their last game?
Yeah, I mean, we do a bunch of scout. But I mean, the main thing for us is just playing defense as a whole this game. Just kind of really focusing on the little things for us. But at the end of the day, just get stops and score some baskets.
We've been fortunate to spend a little bit of time with Coach Gensler and get to know him and sort of his approach and philosophy. What does he bring to the team and the program? It's certainly enough that it attracted you and many others to come to Akron. He's building something. We believe that from what we've seen. What is it about Coach that makes people want to come play for him?
Yeah. I honestly believe that like he actually genuinely cares as a coach, like about how you're doing, well-being, like on the court. Like he genuinely wants you to get better. I've obviously been through a lot of different places where sometimes it can tell that it's definitely a business. And with Coach Ryan, it's very evident that he like just actually cares about you as a person and a player, and he just wants you to get better.
What's the best advice he's given you so far?
The best advice? Oh, I've gotten a lot already from him. That's I would say he definitely makes sure that he knows when I be getting tense in my shot, and he likes to make comments like let it flow like water, or feel like you're water, to get my shoulders to relax. So he just has many different comments that he'll throw in when I'm on the court. He'll just walk by and say some stuff. So his advice is definitely, it comes in different ways, but it's also very helpful.
And it looks like it's been helping you so far this season. I've watched both games so far, and you look relaxed on the court. And I didn't get to see your games before, but I can tell by body language, and you can see certain players. You look really relaxed this year, and I have a feeling that you now feel that your game is where you need it to be.
No, 100%. I'm definitely very happy with where I'm at now. Definitely found my home now. It took me a couple tries, but I'm definitely where I need to be. So, yeah, it's good to hear that from you guys. That's what you see as well. So,
yeah. So, Jeremy, we've told this story numerous times on here. 2 years ago, we met some collegiate players. They play at Cleveland State, who you'll play on Saturday. And in these last 2 years, we've watched a lot of women's college basketball. Watched a lot of Akron games last year. We were fortunate to work with Reagan Bass, who's now at Purdue. But we watched a lot of Akron games. We've watched a lot of Cleveland State games. So Northeast Ohio, Kent State as well. And there's a lot of good basketball, and women's basketball is a really good brand. And tell people why they should be watching women's college basketball.
I mean, we're evolving so much. I mean, obviously now that Caitlin Clark and all that is in the WNBA, I kind of took it that way, but I feel like we have so much talent, and the attention has been brought back to us because of players like her. And I just feel like we're more entertaining if you actually just give us a chance and watch us.
We'll tell anybody who will listen, whether it's here or anybody I talk to, you got to give the game a chance. It's such a pure and joyous form of basketball. The players, they play hard. There's a tremendous amount of skill and teamwork, and short of the aerial game that you see with the men, the slam dunks and some of the high flying blocks, save for that, it's a really comparable game. And like Greenie said, I've watched more women's games than men probably in the last 2 years, and I don't see that stopping. It's we've got a rooting interest in some teams and players. We're going to root for your success individually and as a team, and just continue to watch the game grow.
So, but before we let you go, Maddie, where can people find you on social media and follow your career?
Media? I mean, anywhere. Instagram, Twitter. I don't really use Facebook that much, but if you find me on there, you can give me a follow, I guess.
Yeah. What's your Instagram handle?
It's just Maddie.Vejsicky. So really just type in my name anywhere and it'll just pop up.
And we'll be sharing a lot of that when we promote this card, and we'll have you do some posting for that as well. And we look forward to working with you. We look forward to watching your success at Akron and hopefully beyond that. But we appreciate your time. We will be watching so far this year. I know that I'll be at several games, so we'll make sure that we come down there and talk to you.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, Maddie, thanks for joining us this evening. Best of luck to the Zips and Coach Gensler as they continue on. And you said Greenie, they play tomorrow night against Robert Morris.
Yeah, and it's another big game, and Akron has a lot of big games. And like I said, I watched parts of the first two games, and they play tough. And I know they're 1-1, and you're not going to win every game, but Maddie is. When I was watching her play, I mean, she can knock down that three. And I looked at the stats. I didn't know this, but I mean, she's 6 of 8 for three for the year, and I mean that's a pretty good percentage. So watching Akron. Watching these teams locally, they can shoot the basketball.
They can, and I said we have a rooting interest. It will be interesting to watch her evolve. Coming off of transferring twice. And it's understandable when you're 18 years old and have to make a decision on where you're going to spend your life and your next 4 years. You do that, and you realize it's not necessarily final. And she transferred again and then came back home. But if she's found a spot where she's really comfortable and she's got coaching and her head's in the game, she's got the skill set to be a really, really terrific player. So we'll see how that plays out this year, and look forward to continuing to talk to some of her teammates and many of these other student athletes that have come on board with Greenie. As we indicated earlier, the launch of the retail site is live. You can find Maddie's card. You can find a number of other athletes in the collegiate set at this point. You've got players from Ball State, from Akron,
That's right.
from Wright State, Purdue. You've got the Notre Dame set from last year, of course, Cleveland State University. So lots of really cool things to check out here. And the site's only just begun and scratched the surface of what it will be.
That's right. Yeah, there'll be a lot of stuff added to that. Like we said when we started, it's initially has a lot of the NIL cards, and you can see right there the Hannah Hill Doggos, and I don't know if people have been watching, but the Notre Dame team this year is a force to be reckoned with. Olivia Miles is back, and I think she was the player of the week that I saw. She first game back in 2 years, I think, had a triple-double, Olivia Miles, and then they beat Purdue pretty handedly this past week, and Hannah put up 28 points. I mean, that is a team that is going to be reckoned with come March.
It is, and we've got a rooting interest in them too for Greenie Sports Cards, having spent time with a number of those athletes. Maybe getting ahead of ourselves, but we might have an opportunity to talk to somebody from the program, adjacent to the program next Tuesday, and hear all about that. Natalia Marshall, who played at Notre Dame last year, who helped put on that event with Greenie Sports Cards, transferred down to Miami and was the player of the game recently. She put up 24 points in that effort. So just a lot of talent out there, as we said, and it's a great game. If you haven't had a chance to go check out women's basketball at the collegiate level, there's way more than Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, and the players just continue to get better and better, and it's a lot of fun.
It is. We've been saying that for almost 2 years now. We've been enjoying watching the games, and we'll get to some games this year. I know we'll be out of town this weekend, but Cleveland State travels to Akron, so that's a really good game that people can go out and watch this Saturday downtown Akron at the Jar Arena, and then other games that'll happen. Like you said, Michigan is coming to play Akron in December. I mean, to get a Big Ten school down here, that'll be a fun game to watch. That's a Friday afternoon, so no reason to not go to that game. I know that we're planning on that. As a group too, we have tickets. We're going to go when UConn goes to Notre Dame in South Bend in December. So that'll be a major game to go
big time
watch.
Game.
It is, and Paige Beckers, who's at UConn, that's playing, and knock on whatever you want to knock on, that people stay healthy. That's going to be, maybe a preview of a game in late March.
Either way, it'll be must see TV or must see stream on on the way. Speaking of TV, I would be very remiss if we let this time go by without recognizing today my father would have turned 78 years old, the voice of truth and reason in Cleveland sports. So November 12th, want to wish Les Levine a happy heavenly birthday. He's certainly on my mind every day, but today of all days, especially, it's crazy, Greenie. Not a day goes by where his name doesn't come up or somebody doesn't mention something he said on the radio or TV for throughout his 50-year career. And it's a really special connection to have that in Cleveland and radio and TV and just be humbled by his experience. But he's missed today and every day. And if he's still in tune with some of these airwaves, just want to make sure that Dad knows we're thinking about him and want to wish him a happy birthday.
More sports and less Levine, right? Yeah.
Yeah. He would tell it a job became available called More Sports and Less Levine, and they asked him to apply for it. They thought he'd be a good fit. So.
Well, and there it was 50 years later. But yeah, and what people don't realize that watched his show is he sold all the advertising for that show, wrote all the copy, got all the guests, and oh, by the way, had to be in front of the camera and talk too, right? So there's something to be said that not many people can do that. I mean, you can be an on-air talent, or you can be a salesman, or you can be a producer, but not everybody can do all three of them, or
That's
4,
right.
5, and 6, whatever jobs there were, right? So
It's pretty remarkable, and I'm reminded by that more and more every day. It's no secret. My day job is with Odyssey. We've got 4 stations here in Cleveland. One of those being a sports talk station, 92.3 The Fan, and to see my teammates and the people I work with and get to I'm fortunate to be with every day. There's an incredible amount of skill and talent. But I don't know that anybody could do that in this day and age, to be able to go out and sell what's required on that side and then be on air and do that for 3, 4, 5 hours a day and do the promotions and write the copies you said and get everything produced. He had his time. It was a special time, special evolution. He was the right man at the right time for the right job. And I've learned a lot. I learned a lot from him while he was around and continue to learn from him every day. And this thing that we get to do every Tuesday is pretty special because it didn't intend it that way or start out that way, but it has a lot of the same feel of getting to spend time with people you like and you're curious about and learn more about. And hopefully we have some fun here too, and everybody watching has some fun. So
that's right.
Again, shout out to Les Levine.
Yeah.
Happy heavenly birthday. And
Yeah.
Of all the shows we've ever done,
This is
the
the
most
most
recent.
recent. That's right. And we're lucky that our dads were kind of in the same careers and knew each other for a lifetime, and fortunate somehow we grew up on the same street and back then. But
Yeah, some people know that. I think we grew up like 8 houses away on the
that's
same
right.
street.
And we've both been able to see this business from the ground up, with what our dad doing it. We don't have the advertising yet, but we're working on it, right? So we are producing the show with Haley. We appreciate what they did before us, and yeah, happy birthday to Les Levine.
So yeah, another shameless plugs there. Check out the retail site greeniecards.com, where you can look at all the NIL athletes available, and more will be added. Those are all pre-order at this point up and through December 2nd. So if you want to get in on that action, make sure you put those orders in. They will be signed, autographs by the players, and then distributed to those who purchase them. And then, as Greenie said, if you want to advertise with this program, help support it and keep us going every week, by all means, reach out to Greenie via the website. So, Greenie, it's been a pleasure. As always, may the cards forever be in your favor.
Another Tuesday in the books, and the Cavaliers win on Wednesday night. So
Go Cavs. All right.
go Cavs.
See you at 9 o'clock. Alex will be back for the auction tonight at 9 on eBay and then again on Thursday. Greenie, thanks to you. Thanks to Haley. Thanks to Maddie Vejsicky for joining us, and Adam Byers as well. So we'll see you next Tuesday.
Have a good night, everybody.